It is possible to recommend something very often and not live by it at all. This past week, or about a week and a half ago, after many weeks of perseverance, grit, ingenuity, inner light, motivational self-speak, and feeling just completely, wholly called to lead this community through a pandemic, something inside me shut down. In mid-March, I was like a full glass of energy and ideas. In fact, I was brimming over. Maybe it was the initial flood of ideas that, without warning, became a trickle. Perhaps the weariness of living in a state where Black people continue to be murdered in broad daylight with little consequence in the normal channels of justice. It could have been the sudden chasm of energy that is typically filled by spending time with you, with my friends, with people, singing together, seeing each other's smiles, hugging. It might have been the prolonged fear and anxiety of my own death and everyone else's, not someday, but today. Or that recommendation that came from the UUA that we not gather in person for worship until May 2021. Or it could have been the 900th time of two little guys screaming into each ear at the same time, a newfound horrific practice at our house. Whatever engine that had propelled me through the first 9 weeks of this pandemic ground to a halt. And when I reached down for the reserves, there was nothing but air. Pema Chodron talks about the Tibetan phrase, yang te che, ye tang che, as in totally, completely, and the rest meaning exhausted. She says, yang te che describes an experience of hopelessness, and this is important as it's the beginning of the beginning. Without giving up hope for a moment, we never relax enough with where we are or who we are in order to make the space to become something else. Finding this spiritual space is vital because we are never going to return to life as it was. We are going to emerge slowly into something new. And as much as I want to be that prophet for you, I don't know what that will be. I don't know what we will emerge into, and I don't know when that will be. All I know is that 2 months ago, I never could have predicted this day. I never could have imagined all the ways we would flourish, innovate, deepen our connections, serve one another and our community so powerfully, in many ways more powerfully. In my wildest dreams, I could not have predicted how much fun this new staff at UUCA would have together, scheming and connecting with you. I could never have imagined how difficult it would be just to stay in place, that it would take months before I would discover moments of actual solace within my interior world. Who knows what life will be like in another 2 months' time? though we long for foresight and we seek meaning and conclusions in hindsight, I have found the most pleasure and the most resilience in the present moment. If I stay present to what is happening right now, I can zero in past the confusion, past even the grief, and discover a deeper truth, no matter how small. And right now, that truth is that we don't know what is going to happen. Now, that mystery can be terrifying, it can be hopeful, or it can simply be. Accepting so much mystery is very difficult and somehow exhausting. And I discover so much peace within human tasks of the present, in tending to the flowers, tending to the busted door hinge that's been bothering me forever, tending to a skinned knee, tending to a meal, a painting, a relationship. Rather than counting my losses, these moments feel like I have found something in the active present. When I was commuting all over the city, I was never cooking like I wanted to, not really. I have found a way to spend more of my life doing something meaningful, nourishing, and beautiful. It is a gift I cherish very much, this gift of time to cook, to prepare a meal like I've always dreamed of doing for my family. Last week, during my own personal shutdown, it was brief but dramatic. Suddenly, I was exhausted beyond all ability to keep going. I just kind of went to sleep and woke up a few days later, reborn into myself. When I crashed, other competent people took over. We can carry each other. We can shelter each other. And it is one thing to preach that, and it is quite another thing to be carried for a few days by people whose devotion and skill and professionalism match your own. Mark Lilly said in the Times, "This pandemic has brought home just how great a responsibility we bear toward the future, and also how inadequate our knowledge is for making wise decisions and anticipating consequences. Perhaps that is why our prophets and augurs can't keep up with the demand for foresight. At some level, people must be thinking that the more they learn about what is predetermined, the more control they will have. This is an illusion. Human beings want to feel like they are on a power walk into the future, when in fact, we are always just tapping our canes on the pavement in the fog. We know now. We are not sprinting backwards towards the starting line of this pandemic. We are now in a marathon, and we don't even know when we will arrive at the finish line or what shape that will take. And it's a relay. We will have to pass the baton. We will have to claim our time of rest, time to grieve, time to take Sabbath, and to find our way to moments of replenishment, of solace, and of joy. No, we cannot put joy on hold until the pandemic has passed. Trust in the community's ability to carry and share in the workload. We all will need to tap in, tap out, to rest and recover. And like that Dear Evan Hansen chorus reminds us, you will be found. Oh yes. We all need to have the chance to enter slow time for a time, to grieve the weight of this crisis, to go inward, to have bad days. And we need more than ever to discover joy. Because this, my friends, is not a holding pattern. This is also our life. So we need to look around your life and think, yes, this is nice. This is beautiful. This is worthy of my honest enjoyment and authentic gratitude. This life is truly, without caveats, good. That, as it turns out, both of these are a discipline. For me, it's really tough to allow myself the space to grieve and rest and shut down because the losses continue to pile up. And for many of us, it is equally difficult to find joy in a lifestyle we did not choose. But I live and I preach by the founding Universalist minister John Murray's famous words, "Give them not hell, but hope and courage." For me, this is a dare. Sure, it's easy in peacetime, challenging in a pandemic. There's a saying, it is easier to describe a vision of eternal hellfire than it is the kingdom of God. When our political leaders are painting us into a dystopian fascist vision of hell, it is our call as Universalists to break out of that frame and paint over it a vision of hope and courage and love. To liberate our spirits from cynical individualism and the lie that we are suffering or celebrating alone, and to grasp the lifeline of truth that we are deeply connected, that we are making meaning out of this. Though we have left our big sanctuary, we have become living sanctuaries, sheltering each other. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so.